Dear viewers, today we bring you a story that will leave you not only shocked, but thoughtful as well. It's a tale that challenges our perceptions of wealth, love, and choices. A poor young man, just 25 years old, married an 80-year-old woman who was incredibly wealthy. But what unfolded after their marriage, just 7 days later, was beyond anything anyone could have expected. Arjun, the young man at the center of this story, had no idea what his life would look like after that fateful meeting. What he encountered on his wedding night with his new wife, Zolani Malik, was a twist that left him speechless. At first glance, Zolani did not appear to be the frail, old woman one might expect from someone of her age. Instead, she moved with the grace and agility of someone half her age. Her energy was unmatched, and the way she carried herself was striking, hardly resembling an 80-year-old. But it wasn't just her looks that surprised Arjun. It was the fact that she had made him an offer no one could have imagined. Arjun was not just any young man. His life had already been burdened with responsibilities far beyond his years. After the untimely death of his father, he had to step up as the head of the family. His mother, Anita, was struggling with a severe illness, and the medical bills were eating away at whatever savings they had left. His younger sister, Kajal, was still in school, and the financial strain of paying her fees, buying books, and covering all other educational expenses was suffocating. By the time Arjun turned 25, his life had become a constant battle against the weight of his responsibilities. His face, prematurely marked by worry, seemed much older than his years, with deep lines and dark circles that spoke of sleepless nights. Every day, debt collectors knocked on his door, reminding him of the mounting pressure he was under. He could hardly remember the last time he had a peaceful day. One day, while sitting at a humble tea stall, trying to scrape together enough coins for a cup of tea, Arjun's eyes fell upon a woman who seemed entirely out of place in this setting. Her elegance and expensive attire contrasted sharply with the humble surroundings. She was no ordinary woman. She was Zolani Malik, a name synonymous with wealth and power in the business world. Dressed in an expensive sari, her jewels sparkling under the dim lights, Zolani approached Arjun with a confident stride. The moment she smiled at him and addressed him by name, Arjun was taken aback. "Are you Arjun Varma?" she asked with a calm, assured voice. "Yes, that's me," he replied, his voice weary. "I know about your struggles, Arjun," she continued, her gaze steady. "Your mother's illness, your sister's education, the financial pressure you're under. I know it all." Arjun was speechless, his mind racing to make sense of this stranger who seemed to know so much about him. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice full of confusion. "How do you know all this?" With a small, knowing smile, Zolani replied, "If you want, I can change your life forever. On one condition. Marry me." Her words hung in the air, and for a moment, Arjun thought he was dreaming. "Marry you?" he repeated, unsure of what to make of her offer. Zolani's expression remained unchanged, calm yet serious. "Yes, I want to marry you." The offer was baffling. Why would a woman who was 80 years old and among the wealthiest in the world want to marry a poor 25-year-old man like Arjun? It seemed impossible, but the true shock was yet to come. Zolani laid out her offer clearly. "If you agree to marry me, I will take care of everything. I'll pay for your mother's treatment, take care of your sister's education, and clear all your debts. You will be free from the burdens you carry." Arjun was overwhelmed. He had been struggling to make ends meet for years, and here was a woman offering to take away all his worries. But the offer came with conditions that he would have to consider carefully. "What do you want in return?" Arjun asked, his voice trembling with a mix of hope and doubt. Zolani answered without hesitation, "You must marry me. There will be a legal agreement, but you will have freedom. You can live your life as you wish, but there will be some conditions you must follow. The conditions sounded simple, yet Arjun knew that nothing in life came without a price. After much hesitation, Arjun walked away from her that day, his mind a whirlwind of confusion and doubt. Zolani left in her luxurious car, leaving him to grapple with his thoughts. But days turned into nights, and the weight of his financial troubles became unbearable. Debt collectors continued to harass him, and his mother's health was worsening with every passing day. Arjun's sleepless nights and endless worry had taken a toll on him, and he realized that he might not have another choice. In the end, Arjun couldn't resist the temptation of Zolani's offer. It seemed like the only way to secure a future for his family. He agreed, and the two were married in a simple ceremony, with legal documents signed in front of witnesses. As Arjun stepped into Zolani's mansion for the first time, he could hardly believe his eyes. The mansion was like a royal palace, opulent and majestic. Every inch of the place spoke of wealth and luxury. From the magnificent furniture to the marble floors and high ceilings, everything was grand beyond measure. Servants stood at attention, ready to fulfill Zolani's every command. The women working in the mansion treated Arjun with quiet respect, but their demeanor was cold, as if they feared offending him, the new master of the house. Despite the lavish surroundings, Arjun felt an emptiness inside, as if something was missing. There was no warmth in the mansion, no connection to his new wife. As Arjun settled into this new life, he began to notice the mansion's biggest mystery, a locked door on the second floor, guarded by security. No one spoke about it, but Arjun couldn't help but wonder what was hidden behind it. Though he was married to Zolani, their relationship remained distant. She was busy with her business, and their conversations were formal, even cold. They ate meals together, but they spoke little. It felt as if they were two strangers living under the same roof, bound by a contract, but not by love. One night, as the mansion lay silent, Arjun noticed a faint light coming from behind the locked door. It was Zolani's room, the most restricted area of the house. She had wanted him to enter willingly, but he had never made the effort. As days passed, Arjun found himself sinking deeper into the lavish lifestyle that Zolani had offered. Despite the wealth and comfort surrounding him, he couldn't escape the feelings of isolation and uncertainty that plagued him. His new life felt like a paradox. He was living in the lap of luxury, yet emotionally, he was more detached than ever before. His heart longed for something more than material wealth. He yearned for connection, for warmth, something that had always been absent from his relationship with Zolani. Zolani, on the other hand, seemed to be caught up in her own world. She was a businesswoman of high repute, constantly involved in meetings, projects, and decisions that left her little time for personal interactions. Though she was always kind to Arjun, it felt more like a duty than genuine affection. And as much as Arjun tried to understand her coldness, a sense of emptiness gnawed at him. The mansion, which should have been a sanctuary, felt more like a gilded cage. The servants were respectful but distant. The staff never spoke freely, as if everyone was afraid of saying the wrong thing. And still, the locked door on the second floor remained a haunting enigma. Arjun couldn't shake the feeling that it was more than just a simple storage room or an area for privacy. There was something hidden behind that door, something that Zolani was keeping from him. Despite their marriage, Zolani and Arjun continued to live as though they were strangers. Their interactions were polite, but devoid of any real intimacy. Zolani would occasionally glance at Arjun with a look that seemed to hold unspoken words, but she never voiced them. There were moments when Arjun caught her watching him, her gaze intense, yet she would quickly look away as though she was hiding something deep within herself. One evening, while Arjun was walking through the mansion's grand halls, he overheard a conversation between two of the maids. They were speaking in hushed tones, but he could catch enough to sense that they were discussing something of great importance, something that involves Olani. "It's not the first time she's done this," one of the maids said, her voice barely above a whisper. "You know what happened to the others before him." Arjun stopped dead in his tracks, his heart racing. "The others," he muttered under his breath. His mind was racing, trying to piece together the meaning behind the cryptic conversation. He approached the servants discreetly, but they immediately fell silent when they saw him. It was clear that they were unwilling to speak any further. The tension in the air was palpable, and Arjun couldn't help but feel a sense of dread creeping up on him. What was going on in this mansion? And why was Zolani keeping so many secrets? That night, as Arjun lay awake in his opulent bedroom, the mystery of the locked door consumed him. He had tried to push it to the back of his mind, but it kept resurfacing like an itch he couldn't scratch. Finally, unable to resist the urge any longer, he decided to confront the truth, whatever it might be. Quietly, he slipped out of his room and made his way toward the second floor. His footsteps echoed through the empty halls as he approached the door that had been locked for as long as. He had been there. He knew that breaking into it would be a risk, but his curiosity and desperation to understand what was truly happening in the mansion were overwhelming. With a steady hand, Arjun reached for the key Zolani had given him when he first arrived. The key had always been a symbol of trust, an indication that he was part of her life, part of her world. But tonight, he wasn't sure if that trust extended to everything. The door creaked open slowly, revealing the room beyond. What he saw inside was unlike anything he could have imagined. The room was far from what he expected. It wasn't a storage area or a simple bedroom. It was a lavish, yet strangely sterile chamber, filled with strange artifacts and expensive antiques. But what caught Arjun's attention was the large, ornate mirror at the far end of the room. It stood tall and imposing, framed in gold, with intricate carvings that seemed almost otherworldly. As Arjun stepped closer, he noticed something even more unsettling. In front of the mirror, there was a large wooden chest. It was locked, just like the door had been. But unlike the rest of the mansion, which seemed to exude an air of wealth and grandeur, this room felt cold and distant, as though time had stood still within it. He reached for the chest, and with a deep breath, he unlocked it. Inside, there were stacks of old, yellowing documents, photographs, and journals. Arjun carefully began to sift through them, his hands trembling as he did. As he read through the papers, a dark truth began to emerge, one that would change everything he thought he knew about his wife. The documents told the story of Zolani's past, a past shrouded in mystery and secrecy. She had been married several times before, each marriage ending under strange and tragic circumstances. There were records of sudden deaths, disappearances, and a string of other men who had been tied to her in ways that seemed more like pawns in a twisted game than genuine relationships. Arjun's heart pounded in his chest as he realized the extent of the web Zolani had woven. She wasn't just wealthy and powerful. She was also hiding something far darker, a pattern of manipulation and control, one that she had played out time and time again with the men she married. The weight of the discovery was almost too much for Arjun to bear. He knew he had to confront Zolani, but he also knew that doing so could change everything. Would she be angry? Would she reveal even darker secrets? Or would she confess everything, explaining why she had chosen him in the first place? The following day, he made up his mind. He couldn't live with the uncertainty, and he couldn't keep the truth locked away in his heart. It was time to confront Zolani about what he had found. As he walked toward her office, the air felt thick with tension. He knew that his life would never be the same after this confrontation. But he also knew that whatever came next, it would finally set him free from the mystery that had been haunting him since the day he met her. At this moment, Arjun stood at a crossroads. The woman he had married, whose wealth had seemed like the solution to all his problems, was not who he thought she was. He had uncovered the twisted web of deceit she had built around herself, and now he had to decide what to do with that knowledge. Would he confront Zolani, risking everything he had gained, his mother's treatment, his sister's future, the luxury that had become his new reality? Or would he walk away, knowing that the truth might destroy the life he had worked so hard to build? The answer, however, would not come easily. And for Arjun, the ultimate decision would define not just his future, but also his understanding of love, wealth, and the price of a life well lived.